Praise God, praise God, praise God, everyone. Welcome again to another episode of the Sunday Supper. I'm so blessed to have you with me this evening. Uh, Still going through the book of Genesis here, talking about some things that was happening back then, getting an understanding of just how, everything played out, how it took place, who did what, and why they did what they did. And it would help us to uh, put all the pieces of the puzzle together, especially when we start talking about things that happen uh, or even people that came about in the Old Testament. We can kind of, as we continue, can trace the lineage and find out what happened before them and prior to them. Why people do what they do. We know that Isaac, just like his father Abraham, told him that his wife was his sister, and because he was afraid of being killed. And continuing on, now we have these twin brothers. We got Esau and Jacob. They're battling, and Jacob um, end up getting Esau's birthright, and everything like that was happening. And Esau is highly upset about what happened. Rebecca helping out, and now Esau he wants to take his brother out. He wants to kill him. He wants to rid him of the earth. He wants to pull a Cain and Abel, and so now Isaac, Rebecca and Isaac sent Jacob away, to go find a wife from her brother's house, which would be his cousin, and so that he would marry. But he sent them away. They sent them away so that Esau's anger can be cooled. But Esau, seeing what happened, knowing what's going down, he goes to Ishmael. We know that Ishmael is the brother of uh Ishmael is the brother of Isaac. I'm sorry. Ishmael is the brother of Isaac, who is the son of Abraham. And as he goes to Ishmael, he marries Ishmael's daughter. And so we have a lot that is happening between these two, or we should say these four, because it's Isaac, Rebecca, Jacob, and Esau. There's a lot happening within this story, and we're going to continue on tonight. Talking more about this, and we're going to get deeper into this because now here comes a new chapter in the family lineage of things that are happening that just is unimaginable if we look at it and we try to understand it. Amen. So for this, we're truly going to go to the 29th chapter of Genesis. This is where we are now. We are past the midway point. We are hopefully going to reel this in the next couple of weeks, and we'll be moving on to the next book. So, Genesis 29. Then Jacob, remember Jacob went on his journey. He's on his journey. And he came to the land of the children of the east. He looked, and behold, a well in the field. There's a lot of wells going on during this time. We as we can see, the well of Beersheba, and other wells. There were wells being drilled because there was no water in one well, or the people started strifing, saying this isn't your well, and all kinds of things happening. And well in the field, and saw 3 flocks of sheep lying there by it. For out of that well they watered the flocks. The stone on the well's mouth was large. There all the flocks were gathered. They rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the sheep, and put the stone again on the well's mouth in its place. So once they finished, they put the stone back on there so that the water, no one could come up and just take the water, and it wasn't flowing. Jacob said to them, "My relatives, where are you from?" They said, "We are from Haran." He said to them, Do you know Laban, the son of Nahor? They said, we know him. He said to them, is it well with him? They said, it is well. See, Rachel, his daughter, is coming with the sheep. He said, behold, it is still the middle of the day, not time to gather the livestock together. Water the sheep and go and feed them. They said, we can't until all the flocks are gathered together. And they rolled the stone from the well's mouth. Then we water the sheep. While he was yet speaking with them, Rachel came with her father's sheep, and she kept them. When Jacob saw Rachel, the daughter of Laban, his mother's brother, and the sheep of Laban, his mother's brother, Jacob went near and rolled the stone from the well's mouth and watered the flock of Laban, his mother's brother. Jacob kissed Rachel and lifted up his voice and wept. He's been going through a lot. His mother put him up to the trickery, remember? His mother put him up to the trickery of stealing Esau's birthright and Esau's blessings. As you know, she put the hair on his hand and on the back of his neck because Esau is a hairy man. Isaac's eyesight was not the greatest at this time, so he really couldn't see. He was going by voice. He knew that it was the voice of Jacob, but as he felt him, he had the hairiness of Esau. Jacob told Rachel that he was her father's relative and that he was Rebekah's son. She ran and told her father. When Laban heard the news, Jacob, his sister's son, he ran to meet Jacob and embraced him and kissed him and brought him to his house. Jacob told Laban all these things. Laban said to him, surely you are my bone and my flesh. Jacob stayed with him for a month. So Jacob is there a month. Remember, Jacob is there because Esau has to cool off. You know, he is fuming. The brother is rightfully upset about not receiving his blessing from his father like he was supposed to. He was following the direction that his father gave him. Go out to the field and bring me venison, cook it, make me a stew. Mother heard it. She sent them out to get a goat from right outside, and they killed it, made the meal, and then boom, that's what happened. So Laban said to Jacob, because you are my relative, should you therefore serve me for nothing? Tell me, what will your wages be? Here we go. Laban had two daughters. The name of the elder was Leah, and the name of the younger was Rachel. Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and attractive. Two sisters, the older Leah, the younger Rachel. Just look at it. He said, the Bible says that Leah's eyes were weak, but Rachel was beautiful in form and attractive. So which one do you think our friend Jacob here wanted the most? So Jacob loved Rachel. He said, I will serve you 7 years. 7 years for Rachel, your younger daughter. That's the wage. The wage is he's going to serve him for 7 years. And at the end of the 7 years, he should be given Rachel to marry. Laban said, it is better that I give her to you, than I should give her to another man. Stay with me. So he agrees. I'll give her to you. So we think. Jacob served 7 years for Rachel. This is his wage again. They seemed to him but a few days, for he had loved her. So he really loved her enough to put himself into bondage for 7 years to be able to marry this beautiful young woman. So Jacob said to Laban, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled. My 7 years are done. They went by quickly. I did whatever you asked me to do. I fulfilled my part of the obligation." And he says, "Give me my wife, for my days are fulfilled, that I may go into her," which means he's going to consummate the marriage. So Laban gathered together all the men of that place and made a feast. In the evening, he took Leah, his daughter, and brought her to Jacob. He went in to her. So Jacob ended up having intercourse with Leah, thinking that it was Rachel. Laban gave Zilpah, his servant, to his daughter Leah for a servant. It's, as we can say, they just like giving people to other people. It's a blessing of people to people. These servants are their property, and they're just handing them off. In the morning, behold, it was Leah. He said to Laban, "What is this you have done to me? Didn't I serve with you for Rachel? Why then have you deceived me? Oh, Jacob, you were part of the deception for taking your brother's blessings. You deceived your father, and now you're being deceived. So you are getting what you gave." Laban said, "It is not done so in our place to give the younger before the firstborn. The firstborn must go first, not the younger. The younger, we understand she's beautiful, she's good to look at, it's very attractive and everything else, but it's not customary for us to give you the younger before we give away the firstborn." So he gives him Leah. So fulfill the week of this one, and we will give you the other also for the service which you will serve with me for 7 more years. So I'll give you Leah, but you're going to serve 7 more years if you want Rachel. Ha! The trickery, boy. Jacob did so and fulfilled her week. He gave him Rachel, his daughter, as wife. Laban gave Bilhah, his servant, still giving away people, to his daughter Rachel to be her servant. He went in also to Rachel, and he loved also Rachel more than Leah, and served with him for 7 more years. So now we have 14 years. 14 years. Jacob have been serving Laban just to be able to get to Rachel. Now we have an issue between the two sisters. The Lord saw that Leah was hated, and he opened her womb, but Rachel was barren. I mean, we can kind of see what's going on here because Jacob truly loved Rachel, and you can imagine how he felt toward Leah because of the trickery that happened in order for him to get Leah. How he ended up with Leah, Laban taking Leah and in the night sending her in with Jacob, and they ended up, consummating. Back then, ceremonies and stuff really didn't happen like it does now. But they consummated this marriage. He went into her. So now you can see how when he realized what had been done, there had to been some type of feeling, some illward feeling toward Leah. And so now he has to serve 7 more years in order to get the daughter that he truly wanted. And so that's I could see how Jacob would not treat Leah the same or treat her as equal as he did Rachel. So Leah conceived and bore a son, and she named him Reuben. For she said, because the Lord has looked at my affliction, for now my husband will love me. So she said, because I gave him a son, he has to love me now. I'm giving him something. She conceived again the second time and bore a son and said, because the Lord has heard that also, she named him Simeon. There's two. She conceived again and bore a son. She said, now this time my husband will be joined to me because I have borne him three sons. Therefore, his name was called Levi. She conceived again the fourth time. So now this is the fourth son that's coming. And so he's having sexual intercourse with her, even though he's may not feel uh the same about her as he does Rachel. So, but he is still fulfilling, his husband duties. So she said, this time I will praise the Lord. Therefore, she named him Judah. Then she stopped bearing. So she gives him four children, and that all four children are males. And so here's the thing: the first one, because she named him, she called him Reuben. Then we have Simeon. Then we have Levi. I'm sorry. Then we have Judah. When Rachel saw that she bore Jacob no children, Rachel envied her sister. We can see how this is how that would be. She said to Jacob, give me children or else I will die. She wants children, but she is not able to have children because her womb is closed. Her womb has not yet been opened by God in order for her to be able to conceive a child for Jacob. So Leah is the one who has his first four children. And Jacob's anger burned against Rachel. Oh man, oh my, how the tides have turned. You loved her, but now all of a sudden, because she is not able to bear children, now you're angry. And he said, am I in God's place who was withheld from you the fruit of the womb? She said, behold my maid Bilhah. Go into her, that she may bear on my knees, and I also may obtain children by her. Doesn't this sound like we're going back down history lane with Abraham and Sarah? Sarah couldn't bear children, so she gave her handmaid Hagar to Abraham to have child with her. But then she gets upset in the end, gets a little jealous, sends him away. So now we're here. So she gave him Bilhah, her servant, as wife. Now there's three wives. And Jacob went into her. Bilhah conceived and bore Jacob a son. Rachel said, God has judged me and has also heard my voice and has given me a son. Therefore, she called his name Dan. Now, the son does not truly belong to Rachel. The son belongs to Bilhah. She is the mother, but Rachel is taking claim of it, the child, simply because she gave Bilhah to Jacob to go into. Bilhah, Rachel's servant, conceived again and bore Jacob a second son. Rachel said, I have wrestled with my sister with mighty wrestlings and have prevailed. She named him Naphtali. When Leah saw that she had finished bearing, she took Zilpah, her servant, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. More wives, more wives, more wives. You served 14 years to get this woman. She is barren. She can't give you any children. You have had children by Leah, the elder sister. You have had children by Zilpah, the servant. Now you had children by Bilhah, the other sister, the other maid. I'm sorry, handmaid. And so when Leah saw that she had finished bearing, she took Zilpah, her servant, and gave her to Jacob as a wife. Zilpah, Leah's servant, bore Jacob a son. Leah said, "How fortunate." She named him Gad. Zilpah, Leah's servant, bore Jacob a second son. Leah said, "Happy am I, for the daughters will call me happy." She named her Asher. Reuben went in the days of wheat harvest and found mandrakes in the field and brought them to his mother, Leah. Leah said to her, "Is it a small matter that you have taken away my husband? Would you take away my son's mandrakes also?" Rachel said, "Therefore he will lie with you tonight for your son's mandrakes." Jacob came from the field in the morning, and Leah went out to meet him and said, "You must come in to me, for I have surely hired you with my son's mandrakes." He lay with her that night, giving away things just to be able to spend time with Jacob. It's Jacob, he don't realize it, but he's now their property. They give away things just to be with him, and we have these things going on, and we have, okay, I can't have children, so I'm gonna give you my maid. She has children. She has no more children, so I'm gonna give you another maid, and you have children with her. We have all these going on, but we have yet to see Rachel be able to conceive a child in her womb. But he served 14 years to get her. God listened to Leah, and she conceived and bore Jacob a fifth son. Leah said, "God has given me my hire because I gave my servant to my husband." She named him Issachar. Leah conceived again and bore him a sixth son to Jacob. Leah said, "God has endowed me with a good dowry. Now my husband will live with me because I have borne him six sons." She named him Zebulun. Afterwards, she bore a daughter and named her Dinah. God remembered Rachel, and God listened to her and opened her womb. So now finally her womb is open. And just to go back, Asher is a male. God opened Rachel's womb. And now Rachel's womb is open. She is now able to finally conceive after all these children. I mean, come on, we got six children by Leah, the older sister. Rachel gives him her maids. They have children. Rachel has zero. So we're wondering what is happening here. What is going on here? She conceived and bore a son and said, "God has taken away my reproach, my sins against him." She named him Joseph. And Joseph means may he add. He meaning may God continue to add, and may Joseph continue to add to the things. May the Lord add another son to me. When Rachel had born Joseph, Jacob said to Laban, "Send me away that I may go to my own place into my own country. Give me my wives, all of them, and children for whom I have served you, and let me go, for you know my serve which with which I have served you. Laban said to him, if now I have found favor in your eyes, stay here, for I have divined the Lord has blessings for me for your sake. So the Lord has been blessing Laban because of Jacob on for his sake. So he don't want him to leave because he want to continue to receive these blessings. But that's not it. He said, appoint me your wages and I will give it to you. Jacob said to him, you know how I've served you and how your livestock has fared with me. For it was little with which you before it was little which you had before I came. So Laban didn't have a lot before he got there, but now he has a lot because Jacob has added. Jacob has added to it, and it has increased to a multitude. And the Lord has blessed you wherever I turn. Now, when will I provide for my own house also? He wants to leave. He wants to do for himself now. I don't want to have to do under another man. I don't want another man doing for me. I don't want another man providing for me, making me look rich. And these things don't belong to me. I need my own. Laban said, what shall I give you? Jacob said, you shall not give me anything. Sounded like Abraham. If you will do this thing for me, I will again feed your flocks and keep it. I will pass through all your flock today, removing from there every speckled and spotted one, and every black one among the sheep, and the spotted and speckled among the goats. This will be my hire. I will leave you the perfect ones. I will take the spotted and speckled ones. So my righteousness will answer for me hereafter. When you come concerning my hire, that is before you. Everyone that is not speckled and spotted among the goats and black among the sheep that might be with me will be considered stolen. Laban said, behold, let it be according to your word. So you shall do what you say you're going to do. That day he removed the male goats that were streaked and spotted. So he removed the ones that had spots and speckled, the ones that were not perfect. Remember, because the perfect ones are the ones that are suitable for sacrificing and all that, and the things that was going to come to happen. So he takes all the spotted speckled ones and he says, look, if there are any that are not what we would call have a blemish that are with me. There are some that have a blemish that are with me. They would be considered stolen property. He set 3 days' journey between himself and Jacob fed the rest of Laban's flock. Jacob took to himself rods of fresh polar, almond, and plane tree, peeled white streaks in them, and he made the white appear, which was in the rods. He set the rods, which he had peeled opposite the flocks and the watering troughs, where the flocks came to drink. They conceived, and they came to drink. The flocks conceived before the rods, and the flocks produced streaked, speckled, and spotted. Jacob separated the lambs and set the faces of the flocks toward the streaked and the black in Laban's flock. He put his own droves apart and didn't put them into Laban's flock. Whenever the stronger of the flock conceived, Jacob had laid the rods in front of the eyes of the flock in the watering troughs, that they might conceive among the rods. But when the flock were feeble, he didn't put them in. So the feeble were Laban's, and the stronger Jacob's. The man increased exceedingly and had large flocks, female servants, and camels and donkeys. It's the 30th chapter. There was a lot that happened there. More trickery, more things. Like I say, the adventures of Jacob, and he is getting um, his fair share of trickery, selling himself into bondage. 14 years for a woman who was barren for many years before he was even able to have a child from her. He had a child by three other different women. Jeez. So Jacob heard Laban's words, saying, Jacob has taken away all that was our father's. He has obtained all this wealth from that which was our father's. Jacob saw the expression on Laban's face, and behold, it was not toward him as before. Now his face changed. The Lord said to Jacob, return to the land of your fathers and to your relatives, and I will be with you. Jacob sent and called Rachel and Leah to the field to his flock and said to them, I see the expression on your father's face, that it is not toward me as before, but God, the God of my father, has been with me. This means that Laban's countenance toward Jacob has now changed. He's looking at him differently now. He feels differently about him. He does not feel the same. Says, you know that I have served your father with all my strength. Your father has deceived me and changed my wages. How many times? 10 times. But God didn't allow him to hurt me. So even though Laban is being foolish, deceitful, changing the wages of Jacob 10 times, God did not allow for Laban to hurt him. If he said the speckled would be your wages, then all the flock bore speckled. If he said the streak will be your wages, then all the flock bore speckled. If he said the streak will be your wages, then all the flock bore streak. Whatever he said, it happened. This is where it came from. And it's like God has did this thing to allow for, hopefully, to correct Laban's attitude, because as he saw what was happening was, if Laban said, you take all the speckled and spotted, everything that was born after that point would be speckled and spotted. So it would no longer belong to Laban, but it would belong to Jacob. This is that stuff, man, that the trickery that happens, but this is also the protection of God. God to be able to build the wealth, even out of a bad situation. I don't mean to preach because I'm here to teach, but I'm letting you know, even though there are so many trickery things that may happen, people do you wrong or whatever, even though it happens, God will still see you through as long as you do what God asks you to do. Continuing on with 31:9. Thus God has taken away your father's livestock and given them to me. Everything is switching sides. During mating season, I lifted up my eyes and saw in a dream, and behold, the male goats which leaped on the flock were streaked, speckled, and grizzled. The angel of God said to me in a dream, Jacob, and I said, here I am. He said, now lift up your eyes, and behold, all the male goats which leaped on the flock are streaked, speckled, and grizzled. For I have seen all that Laban does to you. I have seen what Laban has put you through. I have seen the things that Laban is doing. I have seen the trickery that he is pulling. I have seen how he is deceitfully using you. I have seen all these things, and I'm not going to let it happen, because I'm not going to let him harm you. What's going to happen is Laban is going to lose the wealth, the little wealth that he has, and it will all become yours. Rachel and Leah answered him is there yet any portion of inheritance for us in our Father's house? Aren't we considered as foreigners by him? For he has sold us and has also used up our money. Foreigners meaning strangers. So what they are saying is we are no longer our Father's property because he has sold us to you. So we are now strangers to him, which means the inheritance that we were supposed to receive is no longer there for us. And everything, he has used it up. So now he has even taken away from his own daughters. For all the riches which God has taken away from our fathers are ours and our children's. Now then, whatever God has said to you, do. Now then, remember these words. Whatever God has said to you, do. Then Jacob rose up and set his sons and his wives on camels. And he took away all his livestock and all his possessions, which he had gathered, including the livestock which he had gained in Padan Aram, to go to Isaac, his father, to the land of Canaan. Now Laban had gone to shear his sheep, and Rachel stole the teraphim that were her father's. Teraphim were household idols that may have been associated with inheritance rights to the household property. So she went and she stole what he stole from her. So she took it back. These belong to me. And I'm taking what's mine. I'm taking what's mine. Oh, man. Jacob deceived Laban the Syrian, that he didn't tell him that he was running away. So he runs away. So, Laban had no clue that Jacob was going to leave. Jacob puts his wives and his sons on camels. He takes all his flock. He's gone. So he fled with all he had. He rose up, passed over the river, and he set his face toward the mountain of Gilead. Laban was told on the third day that Jacob had fled. You telling me, Laban, it's been 3 days and you haven't noticed Jacob around? It's been 3 days and you tell me you haven't noticed your daughters and all the children and the maids are not around? Are you not paying attention to what is happening? He took his relatives with him and pursued him 7 days. Journey he overtook in the mountain of Gilead. So now he's chasing. Sounds like a familiar story that will come from the next chapter. So God came to Laban, or the next book. So God came to Laban the Syrian in a dream of the night and said to him, be careful that you don't speak to Jacob either good or bad. Laban caught up with Jacob. Now Jacob had pitched his tent in the mountain, and Laban with his relatives encamped in the mountain of Gilead. Laban had to been pushing through day and night to be able to catch up with Jacob and his flock. He had really been pursuing him to catch him because Jacob, as we say, Jacob had a head start. 3 days a head start. Remember, on the third day, that's when they went and told him. He had a big head start. So Laban said to Jacob, what have you done? That you have deceived me and carried away my daughters like captives of the sword. Wait a minute. They're no longer your daughters. You sold them to me. I served for them 14 years. They no longer belong to you. Why did you flee secretly and deceive me, and didn't tell me that I might have sent you away with mirth and with songs, with tambourine and with harp? I would have had a party for you, is what he's saying. I would have had a party for you, an exiting party to celebrate you leaving with my daughters and leaving with my property, and didn't allow me to kiss my sons and my daughters. Now have you done foolishly? It is in the power of my hand to hurt you. I want to hurt you, boy. But the God of your father spoke to me last night saying, be careful that you don't speak to Jacob either good or bad. Now you want to be gone because you greatly long for your father's house. But why have you stolen my goods? Why have you stolen these things? I know you want to go to your father's house, but you didn't have to steal. Jacob answered, because I was afraid, for I said, lest you should take your daughters from me by force. Anyone you find, let me make sure I'm here. Excuse me for a minute. Oh, here we go. 31 and 32. So anyone you find your gods with shall not live. These are those idols. So it wasn't good, it was the gods. Gods. Anyone you find your gods with shall not live. Before our relatives discern what is yours with me and take it. For Jacob didn't know that Rachel was the one who had stolen him. She stolen the gods. Remember, these were the teraphim that she stole. Laban went into Jacob's tent, into Leah's tent, and into the tent of two female servants, but he didn't find them. He went out of Leah's tent and entered into Rachel's tent. Now Rachel had taken the teraphim, remember? Put them on the cattle saddle and sat on them. Laban felt around all the tent, but didn't find them. She said to her father, don't let my Lord be angry that I can't rise up before you. For I'm having my menstrual cycle. She's having her period. He searched, but didn't find the teraphim. Jacob was angry and argued with Laban. Jacob answered Laban, what is my trespass? What is my sin that you have hotly pursued me? Why are you so angry? Why are you coming after me? What have I done to you? What is it that I have done to you? I feel as though I have skipped. Oh no, we're good. What is it that I have done to you? What am I being accused of here? Why are you pursuing me so strong to be able to come and find us for these terafilms that you said were stolen? What is going on with you? What is going on with you? And at this point, he can call him father. One thing about it, when someone sees God blessing you, is sometimes God will bless you with what they think they should have. They will be angry with you. But here we have Rachel, whose father Laban had taken back his inheritance from his two daughters. simply because they are now foreigners, which also means strangers. Because they are strangers, he's taken everything back from them. Well, he never gave them to them, but they know that they are not going to receive these things simply because of what has taken place. But Rachel is like, no, this is not going to happen. My father is not going to treat us this way. I am going to go in and I'm going to take what is ours, take what is mine, and I'm going. Remember, Jacob ran away secretly. Laban did not know he was leaving, gone 3 days. So we have here a story of deceitfulness that is happening all the way around. In Jacob's lineage, one was his first four were born out of a deceitful marriage. Was born out of a deceitful marriage because he was not supposed to be given Leah, but through deceit, he was given Leah. So he has children with Leah. He never wanted Leah in the first place. Then he finally gets Rachel, but Rachel is barren, cannot produce anything. The Lord closed her womb, have yet to open it for her to be able to conceive and bear a child. But since this is happening, what Rachel does is she gives to Jacob her maid. He has children with the maid. Then she gives him her other maid, and as and as he has children with this other maid, they now have more. He has more children. So everything is done deceitfully so far with him. There was nothing that was right. But he finally does have a child with Rachel later on. And as he has this child with Rachel, um, many more things continue to go on. It's because now Leah wants to have a night with her husband. She wants to have time with her husband. So she sells her son's mandrakes to Rachel in order to have it. She goes out, she gathers him, takes him back. He enters into her, and they have a sixth child. This is a real story of things that are happening that is just absolutely wild. All right, so this is all for tonight. This is a lot to digest here. So, with that, we're going to end for tonight, and we will pick back up with chapter. Wait a minute. Oh, I see what happened. We are not done just yet. Everything did not transfer over. But we're going to end here for tonight. We'll have to get this thing straight for next week. So we are halfway through. I know something was off. We are halfway through the 31st chapter of the book of Genesis, or Genesis 31, the chapter. And so we will pick back up next week. I'm sorry for what happened, but technology. Sometimes it acts right, sometimes it doesn't. We'll have to work on these technical issues and get them straight for you so that we can continue to present to you some good lessons here. So for now, For Sunday Supper, I say thank you for tuning in. I thank you for taking time out of your schedule to check out what is happening. We are into a very deceitful story, and we're going to learn more about what's happening in this story because more deceit is coming. But it's not over. So for Sunday Supper, remember, there's always room for you at the table. And please always remember to live your life on purpose. Be blessed, everyone. Have a very blessed week. Sunday Supper, that's all I have.